All right, now we're going to be working on creating a walk cycle animated GIF. I have here a walk cycle that I created in Flash, and hopefully you created walk cycles in your Flash class. So I have what I have here is I have a walk cycle that is, I created it inside of a graphic symbol. This is inside of a graphic symbol that I created my walk cycle. And this is, if you really want a smooth walk cycle, you can do it here in Flash. You want to take some time and do that. Now, in order to get it out of Flash, or the best way to get it out of Flash, is if you are on your library tab here, and if you right click over the symbol that has your walk cycle in it, and you choose Export Ping Sequence, and just choose where you want your ping sequence, and then you'll hit save. Now I've already saved this out. And so we can go over to Photoshop, and what you'll do is, if you go to File, Open, you'll see all of these walk forward, or whatever your symbol was called, and then it'll have the 001 and so on and so forth. They're all numbered here. They're all numbered, as you can see here. And just open up the first one. Just go ahead and open up the first one. And then what you're going to do is basically you're just going to place all of the other frames that were saved out from the sequence into this Photoshop, into this new Photoshop document that you're creating. So we'll go File, and choose Place Embedded, this one, and then we're just going to go to 2, and it'll get this bounding box around it, and so you can double click on it, or you can hit enter, either double click or hit enter, and then just go ahead, and we're just going to keep placing all of them. And unfortunately with the Place Embedded, it doesn't let you do more than one at a time. It'd be nice if it let you do all of them at the same time, like they do in After Effects. You can bring in a bunch of files all at the same time. For this particular thing, it doesn't. And the reason I'm doing the place, just doing File, Open, is that it will place it exactly in the middle, and so that way I know that they're all completely lined up perfectly to exactly look like my original walk cycle that I had in Flash. It just does a perfect, centers them perfectly, and so everything will be lined up and ready to go once I have these all in here. All right, so this, and I had a 20 frame animation, so now I have all of my 20 frames in here. And the first thing, like with the star, all we have to do is we're basically going to turn each one of these frames on individually. For each frame of animation that we create here, we're just going to turn on a different layer. So I have only layer 0, my very first frame that I brought in from Flash. I have that, only that layer on, just the eyeball for that layer. I'm going to go here to my timeline. That's under Window, Timeline. And I'll just choose my Create Frame Animation button. and it creates my first frame of my animation. And now I'm going to create a new frame. I create my second frame. I'm going to turn off the eyeball for my first frame and turn on the eyeball for my second layer. And I'll create another new frame, the little page fold icon like we learned about in the star tutorial. Now I'll turn off my second layer and turn on my third layer. And then I make another new layer and I turn off the third layer and I turn on the fourth. And I just keep on making new frames and turning off the old layer and turning on the new layer. So just keep on make new frame, turn off old, turn on new. And so it should match up that you have exactly 20 frames for your 20 layers is what you'll end up with, or what you should end up with if you do everything, if you keep track of everything correctly, which hopefully I haven't as I've been talking, gotten off track here and missed a frame or doubled up on any of my frames, which can happen. But I can go back and sort that all out if I absolutely have to. So I'm almost got all of my frames here done, just have to add one more. And yeah, so this is like to have 20 frames, so this is like a lot. You know, maybe you don't even need 20 frames, but it does make a much nicer, smoother walk cycle. Once again, I have this set to once, so I'm gonna change this to forever. And now this will go ahead and he will cycle through this walk cycle forever, and which will be good for my game. I can just turn him to the GIF that has him walking. Now if this was the final size that I wanted this GIF, then I could do as I did before, where I just do save for web, and I can, you see I have my transparency here. I can choose how many colors I want, as I did before. Make sure it's forever. And I can also just play it back here to make sure that that's what I want. It's a little fast. If that's a little bit too fast, you can go back and change the speed. Anyways, you would hit save if that was okay. If this wanted to be slower, which it could be a bit slower, I can select on the first frame. I'm holding down the shift key. I'm holding down the shift key and selecting all of the frames. Holding down the shift key and selecting the last frame. Click on the first frame, hold down the shift, click the last frame. Then I can go to the little pull down menu and I can change all of them at the same time to a different time. And I just gave that just a tad bit more time for each one. Slow down his walking a little bit. Now, this is he's a little bit big for most games, and when we had him in class, he was quite a bit smaller as well. So I'm going to take my crop tool. You can take your crop tool, or you can also do image size. And we can, this is still linked here, and what we can do is I can just change the height to be 100 tall, and you'll notice that it adjusts the width of the boy. Now, this is a much better size for my for my game. And you'll notice now it's, everything is resized, so it still has all of the animation that we already had set. And now we can do save for web. Like I said, you're still looking at, how many colors you want. Once again, the more colors you have, the bigger the file size. It's only 53K. That's not bad. So even at 256 colors, which is pretty good. So I'll just go with that. You'll hit save, and then you can go ahead and save him out, and he will have all of the, he'll have all of the transparency in there, so that he can blend in with your background real nice. Now, that's creating an animated GIF from Flash. Now, if you don't need it to be, if you don't care about it being so super smooth, or don't want to work with Flash, you can also just create a walk cycle here in Photoshop. What I have here is I have all of my body parts for the boy that I had in my Flash document. I have a head body, I have an arm front, I have a front foot and a front leg part, and then the back leg and foot and the back arm. And basically, I don't have as many frames in this animation, but what I did is I have all those parts and I have them all in a folder. As you can see, they're called groups. And then basically I set up my first frame, and then what I did is I dragged my folder to the page fold icon down here, and that copied my group so that I had all these pieces again. And then I just rearranged my pieces into the next, basically the next placement that they'd want to be in a walk cycle. And if you may want to actually reference a walk cycle to know all the different positions that you want to make for it. If you just Google walk cycle in Google, you'll get a few different examples. This one is a really good example that I've used in class. This one as well. The key element when you're creating the walk cycle is, so you'll know this shaded part, that's going to be your back leg and your back arm. It's just there to help you figure out what the front and the back. What you'll notice is that when the back leg is forward, the back arm is back, and vice versa. That's one of the key elements when you are creating your walk cycle. And then they flip back around. You'll notice that this front leg here, it's toward the back, the arm is forward, so they're going to be always kind of opposite of one another. So I want to point out too, if you do use this walk cycle, this is actually only half of the walk cycle. It's just showing basically doing one step through. This one I think does have a full, I think this one might have the full, this might actually have the full walk cycle. Or actually this one has, I think, the full walk cycle down here. Even better, this one for sure. So you might want to use one of these as a reference for your walk cycle to know all the different positions. This guy right here is a really, really simple walk cycle. So he would be a really, really good one. This one is a full walk cycle. Only has 4 positions. So this one would probably be your best bet for if you just want to create a really, really quick one and easy one. But basically I have a frame for each group, and this just each group is just all the parts are repositioned, and I created a frame up here for each one. As you can see, it's not near as smooth as the Flash one, but maybe once you get this guy resized, it's maybe not as it's maybe not as big a deal as if it's bigger. So this is another way that you could go ahead and make a walk cycle as well. Saving out is the same way. Like I said, maybe not quite as smooth as the Flash way, but it can be done. At least it's a simple way of doing it. Okay, so that will be animated GIFs. All right, good luck.